I'm Attorney Richard Boykin, and I'm here today on behalf of Dr. Willie Wilson for mayor. And we've come today to basically point out some issues regarding the Board of Elections. As you all know, Dr. Willie Wilson filed a lawsuit to stop the board from implementing a plan to cut 779 voter precincts, many of those precincts polling stations. The board has released its list of polling stations, and in fact, they made no changes since we held the press conference in August. They've gone through and actually decided to close a number of polling stations. As a result of that, there's going to be mass confusion for voters. They won't know which polling station to go to and vote, and so that may cause disenfranchisement. In addition to that, thanks to the good work of the Chicago Tribune, we noticed that they actually made sure that a number of these polling stations in the wards actually were not accessible for people with disabilities. In fact, during the last election, they had about 20% that were accessible for people with disabilities. Now, that number goes to 10% or below. But in 14 of the 50 wards, 0 polling stations are inaccessible for people with disabilities. That is not right. Dr. Wilson says that violates the 2017 agreement that was entered into between the Board of Election and the U.S. Attorney's Office through a Department of Justice lawsuit. With that being said, I'll turn things over now to the next mayor of Chicago, Dr. Willie Wilson.
Good. Good. Look, I think that it's important that the citizens of Chicago know this, and that is the Board of Election get their sources of funding from the mayor of the city of Chicago and the city council. If they really wanted to stop this, the mayor could take them, and the city council could hold funding from the Board of Elections we just happened. This is 2022. It kind of takes us back into the 1960s. It's odd, nobody else is, particularly the mayor herself, and also the other different community organizations, is not raising sand about this whole situation. People have died to have a right to cast a vote. You know, people have went to jail and prison during the civil rights era for a right to vote. In fact, most of particular the minority out here is the one that deprived from having to be able to vote. As you know, my background is back in the 1960s, so we couldn't vote down south. We fought, marched, did everything. We could not vote. You know, my days back in the Jim Crow days, and it's really disturbing to me to see this. Now, again, if it were down in Georgia, what's going on right now, the Republican versus Democrat, they'd be raising a lot of sand about this whole situation. The President of the United States talking about voting, the Georgias and different places, states around the United States, being able to deal with this whole situation of voters registration and voters. Now, this is a Democratic town. Chicago is a Democratic town. It is going to frustrate people trying to get to the poll and find out that they cannot vote, that their place has been moved to another location. People with wheelchairs, senior citizens don't have money. How are they going to be able to catch a bus or a cab on fixed income? you know, all of you being deprived of such a thing. And by the way, this is bigger than the mayor's office. This is bigger than all of us. You know, this is personal to me. I would be doing the same thing if I was not running for mayor. I'd be saying the same thing today. You know, look, we ought to take and consider if we're going to do this, do it in April and May during the summertime when there is no election, period. You know, so nobody's raising his hand about that, is delaying it. You know, we'll reach out and we'll talk to all the different organization, civil rights organization, and we're very appreciative of the news media, particularly here, the Tribune and the other people here making this shed light on this right here. It's just not about black and brown people. It's about white, you know, Latino, you know, Asian American and other America. This whole thing, you know, it's about the women's right. You know, I mean, a while back, women couldn't even vote. You know, whether you were white, black, whatever it is, women could not vote. You know, so it's important that this here that we can put a stop to it some kind of way. We're looking forward for hopefully we can get a date that we can go to court and let the judge make a decision on this here to delay it and push it into an off-election year to make this happen. So that's where we stand at right now today. I would love to have seen a lot more people involved, a lot more organization that's involved about this. This is a civil rights issue, you know. But so we keep on pushing on, and that hopefully that we can get in court soon before the election. Now, some people have got their card already about their new voting area. I've not got mine yet. I live downtown. I've not got my card. Where should I vote at? Wow. You know, have not got it. You know, so if I have not got it, especially people who run for office right now in November, which I believe like 30 days or so from here, all right? So if you don't get your card, and you also know that the mail service is very slow. I can drop a letter into the box downstairs to the north side of Chicago. It'll take 3 weeks to get that mail. Yep. You know? So, but I've not gotten it. You know, a lot of other people probably the same situation I'm in. So they're gonna get up on November the 9th or 8th, whichever one it is, heading to the poll thinking that they're same voting area they've been before and find there's none. And so they all get there and some will walk and some will go, some don't have the money and things of that nature. It's going to be disappointing. And they're gonna say, well, I don't have enough money to get to the other place. Then when they get to the other place, you have a long line, so they're gonna discourage them, you know, to do something there. So let's hope and pray that we can get this thing resolved. But again, I want to remind everybody that this rests at the first step. Who has the budget? The mayor and city council. So thank you again. If there's a question anybody like to ask me, please do so.
So you mentioned the mayor having control over this budget. So in your opinion, what should Lori Lightfoot have done differently for this implementation to go through, given that there are a few competing goals? We have a new ward map that we have to abide by. And, you know, the Board of Elections has mentioned that, you know, they were kind of working with two conflicting goals, one of which keeping full places the same that are recognizable and hitting other metrics like ADA compliance. So, you know, what should the mayor have done differently?
Well, first I went back up in here. I think there was a lawsuit, I believe, from the federal government about the Disabilities Act, which is here already. I think it was back in 2017. They already violated this here, you know, right here. But as related to this here, this is in violation. right here. The mayor is in violation by really haven't necessarily spoke out about it, which he spoke out on other things. You know, the budget that they're coming up to do, I believe, next week or week after next, something like that. She could stop the funding of this situation to get some attention, at least delay it, and say, hey, we're not going to fund the board of election until this gets resolved, because it's allowed the people an opportunity to get to the polls and to cast their ballot. You know, I don't quite understand why would that be so. You know, why would the mayor not exercise the right sometimes as a citizen to do this, nor the city council also. But if you're in charge of something, you make it happen, especially when you see it wrong. You fight like I'm doing. I'm out here fighting for it. To the right of my grandfather, all of them. I'm the first generation ever voted in my family. Ever voted in my family. My mother, father, grandfather, none of them could vote. I'm the first generation in my family that ever voted. The first one. And that's disturbing. So when things happen this way, somebody needs to get up and do something. So I think personally, you know, I feel the rest at the mayor.
And I would just add, Dr. Wilson, to that we understand competing interests, completing the new map and all of that, but you don't trample over the Constitution at the sake of speed just to get something done. It sends the wrong signal to the voters of Chicago, who deserve to have notice of where their polling stations are. They haven't received it yet. I live in Oak Park, I've received mine. And my polling station changed in Oak Park, but I've gotten mine. That's the county. He's dealing with the city board of elections. And on the disability part, he's right. You can't trample over the American with Disabilities Act. It's a federal law. And so the mayor's a lawyer. She understands that. And so she should act on behalf of the people who are disabled and on behalf of all city of Chicago residents who are voters, and say, hey, wait a minute, let's slow this process down. Let's do it in an off year when we don't have an election. They can do that.
And add to that, what the hurry? What the hurry?
Well, we do have an election in 30 days, so I think there is a bit of hurry.
Yeah.
You know, I know if we halt
Right, but why not delay it? People can't turn in 30 days. The communication, what I'm saying. So what the hurry and them trying to rush this now? Why did they do this here a year or two ago? Yeah, just basically what I'm saying. This, the map and everything else that you're talking about, this here trumps. People right to vote Trump, a map and any other thing. You know, this is a more issue. More to me more issue to take over Trump anything. You know. So it need to be probably, it need to be a further investigation into this, in my opinion. You know, just like it was back in the civil rights era when I was coming up. You know, I mean, we was all out there marching and everything else. You know, a lot of people got arrested. You know, a lot of people died in prison. You know, a lot of people got shot and killed. That's all kind of stuff. You know, that's the one that everybody didn't have the opportunity to go back or live it like I lived it, and all the struggle that we went to. You know, but if you have to go back and you live it, and you walk through it, you set me, so what's wrong? Yeah, but anyway, that's that.
And so on the ADA compliance part, you know, a lot of polling places are schools, and so a lot of schools are actually not ADA compliant also. And so how do you kind of address both as a leader of the city? Or how would you?
A lot of the schools.
They're not ADA compliant.
Yeah.
American Disabilities.
Yeah. Okay. Now, but see, this is back in 2016, 17. Okay. Right here, we have to follow the law. I've always followed the law. Ever since I've been alive, I've always followed the law. The law says one thing, we do what the law says. If not, we end up in jail. I've never been to jail for nothing like that. But if the law says I gotta pay taxes, I gotta pay my taxes, I get fined. I'm in court. They should be made to do that now on the voting, but for the school and everything else that you're in violation of doing. If I get a ticket right now, and don't pay my ticket, red light ticket, they gonna arrest me. Like that. I'm not gonna have Mayoral to do that, So you have to take the same approach that you that if it was your own. You got to take those same approach and do it that way with schools, and I'm sure they have other places too. But think about that person in a wheelchair that wants to get out but discouraged because they don't have SS. But that person once upon a time maybe didn't have to be in a wheelchair. I might end up, God forbid it, being in a wheelchair myself one day. If I'm in a wheelchair, I like to go to a place where I can get in. When I was in business early part of the year, we had to do it. We had to go to, when I had a restaurant, we had to turn on dime and redo everything and get it done overnight. So it's that.
And so that agreement was amended already in 2019. They had a target date set for the 2018 election, and it was amended the following year because they didn't meet the target. So the board is anticipating that it will be amended again, given that they're not going to meet the target, which was set for this fall. So if it's not amended again, do you think it should be amended again? And if not, what should the consequences be for the board of elections?
I think the federal government needs to come in and enforce them to do it. That's how they're doing. If I don't do something, I'm forced to do it by law. This is the law. And we should all abide by the law. If I gotta do things by law, then they should do things by law too.
And I would just add that the federal government should not allow them to retreat. What they've done is retreated from actually making progress. Initially, they had about 20% that were accessible for people with disabilities. Now they're at 10%. And in 14 wards, 0 are accessible. So that's unacceptable. The federal government cannot amend this. It would hurt every person that's disabled in the city of Chicago and would send the wrong signal to other cities and states as it relates to voting. And so I agree with Dr. Wilson. They have to make things right. The city of Chicago, the Board of Elections, they know what the right thing to do is, and they ought to do the right thing.
Yeah. So that's about kind of where we at. I would guarantee if you go out here right now and in some places in the state, if you make a left turn and go get a right turn, the police gonna pull you aside. Fine, right? Or you go jaywalking, But that's how things work. It shouldn't be double set of laws, But let's hope we get done. Thank you, and thank you for the Tribune for at least doing this story and following up on it, because it's very important to the citizens of Chicago, but also very personal and important to me too. So it certainly helps. We appreciate you very much. And your
Thanks for your
company.
time.
Thanks, Kenzie. Thank you. Great questions, by the way. Zelda, anything?
Yes, I have a question. What would you say to community organizations, the disabled and other community organizations? How can they get involved?
All the most important is send emails and telegram, phone calls down to the mayor's office. There's a budget coming up, you know. They gotta express to them, it's important for them to vote. You know, they've been deprived in the past, now they're being deprived right now today in 2022. I encourage them to get involved through that way, to do whatever it takes, as long as it's in part of the law.
And can they contact your office or?
Well, you can always look here again, in my opinion, right now, who has the widest reach in the people, they certainly go to today's Chicago Tribune, because they have put it out there, they own it, they're on top of it. So go to the Chicago Tribune, get the paper, look at it, and then keep up with the latest information so they're more in tune to what we're talking about here.
And Dr. Wilson will be setting up a meeting in the coming week with the disability community to talk about this and figure out a way to help them to organize so that they aren't disenfranchised about a board's actions.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks for your time.
you. Very good question.
She was good, right?
Yeah, I haven't met you before, have I?
Probably a while back.
While back?
Yeah, recognize some pictures I took years ago.
Oh, really? Okay, all right, excellent then. This guy here is trying to work it, you know? He get all the research from me, you know? Otherwise, I wouldn't know it, you know?
Well, we'll be in touch if you have any follow-up questions. I can remember, so.
All right, good. Well, he's the man, all right? Thank you guys, all right?
Thank you.
Good day,